Mayuresh Joshi joins in with his thoughts on the markets. And Mayuresh, before we get into the active movers, there's a lot of pharma which is in traction today. I think everything which had a bit of this Brazilian exposure in whichever shape or form has had a bit of an impact today, UPL being a case in point, because of that S&P downgrade on credit rating, so on and so forth. It may be a sentimental move as well. What are your thoughts here?
So clearly, Neeraj, I think one really needs to understand what contribution happens from the LATAM markets and within the LATAM market, specifically from Brazil. And clearly, I think from an immediate financial implication, I think even on the pharma side, if you look at Cadila, I think it's a very, very small component that comes out of the LATAM markets. For Glenmark, 17-18% overall comes in from emerging economies and LATAM. But clearly, I think one needs to look at valuations when you're looking at pharma counters. A lot of these pharma counters are trading at valuations which are close to their peak valuations that you've derived over the past few years. So I think we'd be adopting a very, very cautious stance here and a very stock-specific approach, to say the least. So within the sector itself, I think well drawn out ideas. I think Sun Pharma has been documented very well on how FY16 might just be a bleak year in terms of integration issues, what happens with Halol. But purely from an FY17 standpoint in terms of sales, and even on the domestic side, it along with Ranbaxy, I think 9.2% market share, I think that's going to be quite humongous for Sun Pharma along with the cash that it carries. So Sun Pharma is something that we probably like within the pharma space, and Aurobindo Pharma within the mid-cap universe. But we believe, I think the acquisitions that it's done, the domestic formulation business, the international formulation business, generally I think should hold up pretty well. The injectables business has held up pretty well for Aurobindo Pharma, and at 18 times I think it is reasonably valued if I compare that to the other stocks. So I think clearly I think pharma as a sector very, very stock specific, but again I think I'm not too overly perturbed, even with companies like Cadila, which has a very, very small component, but again valuations not supported.
Mayuresh, there's focus on autos this afternoon, and do you think that it's getting a bit differentiated within the space? Hero MotoCorp looking at going global, building their export business, pretty much on the lines of competing with Bajaj Auto in the export market. Also introducing scooter vehicles, diversifying their product portfolio. On the other hand, you've had Mahindra & Mahindra. And as Neeraj and I were just discussing, the compact SUV market is one of potential, and aspiration. So you clearly have demand growing there. And M&M also now building its capacities to service that market. So do you think in pockets these differentiated strategies would draw interest in names like Hero as well as M&M?
So clearly, Tanvir, I think from the two-wheeler pack, one really needs to understand how the rural demand pans out with the kind of monsoons that we've seen. You are going to see tepid activity happening in terms of how volumes will pan out on the rural side for a lot of these two-wheeler guys. Clearly, I think Hero's foray into the international markets will entail higher EBITDA margins, but one really needs to understand the kind of competition that it faces from Chinese players. And again, I think Bajaj has been quite vocal in the sense itself in the African markets, where it has been gaining decent market share both in terms of three-wheelers as well as the two-wheeler exports. However, I think in terms of how the volumes will pan out on a consolidated basis, I think it's going to be a little bit tepid in terms of FY16 numbers. So clearly from a two-wheeler perspective, I think I'll wait for further declines, though we have an accumulative rating on both Hero and Bajaj at this point of time with the price correction that you've seen. But I'll wait for declines on these stocks. When it comes specifically to M&M, I think the compact launch that it has done, I think a tad bit too late, but again, I think it needed to do that because its market share was declining generally in the UV segment. It had fallen down to 38.5%. The tractor business is clearly seeing degrowth happening through. And again, I think analysts are betting on tractors being used for non-agri purposes once the capex cycle revives. Apart from the core fundamentals in terms of how volume growth will pan out in terms of tractors at 5%, I think the UV segment is something which will be a big driver for Mahindra & Mahindra from the current levels. And again, I think investments as a total component of their overall balance sheet comprises nearly 45% of the overall value. So I think they've got diversified interests in real estate, IT, and again, clearly I think that can be a huge value unlock.
Okay, at 2:55. By the way, cars run on tires, and tires are on fire today. Look at SEAT, look at Apollo, look at MRF. All the key names. SEAT is a separate case in point. I mean, that one is extremely active, 9% up now. But look at MRF, look at Apollo. All the stocks are very, very active. So good going, really, for the tire names. We've discussed tires, Ashwini. What would be the 255 idea? Would it be a tire stock or would it be something else?
Well, tires was probably a good morning story. I think something like a Canfin Home, and that's had almost a 5% type of move. So that's a buy with a stop of 780, and look for targets of 850.
Right, Sandeep, what about your ideas at 255?
Tanvir, I would go with a buy in a Hexaware, showing good traction. I think a move is about to begin at level of 250 or so, with a stop loss of 245, target of 270, 272.
Okay, so that's Hexaware. I must say exporters are having a decent enough outing today because it started with pharma, maybe select IT names too are doing okay, but exporters in general are not doing that badly. The 2 or 3 liquid names that have a problem, one of them is Sun TV, of course. The other one is UPL, which is having a bit of an issue. And today, I think Century Textiles has corrected quite strongly. It's sub 500 now, 4.5%, over 1.5 million shares traded. So that one is slightly soft in trade. But otherwise, things are not looking that bad for the broader markets because there are a bunch of names which are actually doing well too. The CNX Midcap Index is just down about 1/3%, which is actually not that bad. Just wondering, before we get to one more big voice, Mayuresh, I was intrigued by your comment on pharma and you mentioning that you only like Aurobindo from the mid-cap space. Why that? I mean, there are a bunch of other companies which are doing some really good work. The price movements are fairly decent too. You don't like anything else from the mid-cap pharma space?
No, clearly, Neeraj, I think we did like Dishman Pharma and we continue to like that clearly. But I think the price movement that Dishman has indicated over the past few weeks, I think the risk reward from the current levels, our target price still stands at 290 on Dishman Pharma. And clearly, I think the value unlock story still remains within this company again. Asset turnovers have been extremely good. They're sweating the assets extremely well. The capex intensity has reduced for Dishman Pharma. And the management has clearly indicated that the other business lines, including the vitamin D business, can grow up to a sizable size, close to 300 odd crore rupees over the next few years, with margins of 18 to 20%. And clearly, I think if you look at their European business and Carbogen 6, I think even that business is expected to do well over the next couple of years, with margins expanded to 40 to 50%. So clearly, I think we're expecting decent growth to come through. But again, at these levels, I think the target does remain at 290. But clearly, I'll wait for declines on Dishman Pharma as well, because I think the stock has moved up too sharply. So yes, I think Dishman is something that we'll continue to like within the mid-cap pharma space. But again, I think on declines, not at the current juncture.
Okay, stay on with us, Mayuresh. Lots more to talk about. Bring in the last half an hour of the session for the benefit of our viewers. It's looking a bit volatile and wobbly around 77.50 for the index. But as we take that break, here are another important market voice in Prashant Jain of HDFC Mutual Fund, what he makes of the market mayhem. In fact, he's quite bullish on the technology space and drilling it down to specific names. He believes that companies would continue to grow even if the economy doesn't.
Our companies have grown much faster than the market itself. So bulk of the growth has come from market share gains. And there are limits to how much you can grow by market share gains. But that is showing up in the growth rates, and it is also showing up in the multiples. See, if you go back 15 years, of course, your 100% became 60, 60 became 30, and now we feel good.
It's in teens now.
If the growth rates are 12-15%.
So IT is a matured sector.
I would not say it's a mature sector. I think it has good potential, long-term potential. India has a lot of competitiveness. It's a growing sector, but the growth rates will be much lower than what they were in the past.
What about themes like cloud, digitization, SMAC? These are powerful themes.
But yes, these are powerful themes, but it is very hard to, it's easy to talk these terms, but it is very hard to say what will be the impact of these themes, positive or negative, on a $100 billion industry. So, does cloud take away some business? Does it add business? So I think these are very difficult things to take a view. But I think the sector, the companies appear to be reasonably confident that they should continue to grow. And let us not forget that the US, which is 2/3 of the market for these companies, has a $300 billion stimulus from lower oil prices.
Yes.
US consumes 20 million barrels of oil a day. and those prices are down $50.
It's indirect tax saving for them.
It is $1 billion of saving for the US consumer per day.
Yeah.
I think the US economy should be doing reasonably well going forward.
So we should not worry about this so-called deflation or growth concern.
See, if inflation comes down to fall in commodity prices, I mean, it is deflation technically, but I would worry more about deflation if it was due to demand contraction, which is fortunately not the case, at least in India.
The other moving variable is that the super cycle in commodities is over. It's unlikely to make there is just no case that why commodity prices would be sharply higher from here. So what happens to Indian companies? What will happen to corporate earnings?
I think the commodities part of corporate earnings have suffered already. So I think the markets have priced it in. So you look at the prices of metal companies or of oil companies, they are reflecting the current prices. So once that is in the base, it will stop impacting growth from next year onwards. So I guess we will move on from that low base.
Is the trade in OMCs, some of these oil companies over? They've appreciated.
So they've done quite well. I think there is still some reasonable value. I don't want to discuss too much specifics, but I think the big theme, we used to say that the subsidy burden will not be there on these companies indefinitely. I think that theme has played out and it is showing up in the stock prices.
That was one of the most brilliant calls. I think this was a 3-year-old call.
Yeah, it took longer than what we had anticipated.
So, just to go back to the original thesis of our interaction, you are of the view that this panic is not a real panic. When we will look back and discuss August 2015, it will just look like a blip. Long-term investors should not run away. They should in fact embrace this fall.
Absolutely. So your SIPs should be doubled. So we should invest. We should take advantage of this. Economy is improving and there is nothing wrong with the economy. Markets have fallen because of factors which are not going to impact the economy at all. So I see no reason for any panic. In fact, we are recommending to people traveling all over the country, me and my colleagues, that take advantage of this. Buy long.
He's India's biggest fund manager.
It is very hard to assess whether who is really afraid, who is really greedy, because for every trade there is a buyer and there is a seller. But let's focus on multiples.
He has over 20 years of experience in the mutual fund industry. He's sharing valuable insights into investing right.
Catch me on Market Makers as I discuss the current market situation. Only on ET Now.
All right, back with closing trades right here on ET Now. The market is looking buoyant. I say buoyant despite the Sensex being down 0.5% because the CNX Midcap Index is well and truly in the green. 12 points, not too much, but in the green. The Nifty is probably at the high point of the day. The Bank Nifty is trading 300 points off the lows of the day. Look at the intraday chart of the Bank Nifty. Almost ready to break into the green. This is an extremely strong show by our markets. It was looking very, very wobbly at the start of the trading day today. But I must say, it's been a remarkable comeback by the markets. I'm actually enthused even though we are down 0.5% because of the recovery that we've made on a day which looked actually pretty much down and out. I think the Bank Nifty stands out for me, Ashwini. 778 right now for the Nifty, yes, but the Bank Nifty, the way it has come up, and I think that is what is leading to this uptick in the Nifty as well. Would you initiate any fresh positions on the Bank Nifty right now?
See, it's important to understand who can initiate longs. A person who's willing to see another gap down tomorrow morning, 300 points off. But what is happening is clear that the 50% zone of the entire rally from about 15,800 to 16,800, the 50% point was 16,300. That has been defended. So the last couple of days worth of rally still continues. Similarly on the Nifty, the 50% of 7550 and 7850 is about 7700. Both these levels getting defended means that there is more upside to come.
Come in. Nirmala Sitharaman is speaking on the Chinese issues. Let's cut across.
For cheaper prices, many of our small producers who depend on the raw materials coming from there would be able to benefit is one example I'm taking. There may be many, very many such examples. Of course, we'll have to be cautious because not just the raw material, even finished goods can come cheap. When finished goods come cheap, they take away your jobs. they end up closing some of your production units. So you have to be very careful and calibrated in your approach about what you will allow and what you will not. And therefore, turning it as an opportunity is only when you're being cautious and watchful.
As you rightly said,
can you make WTO ruling on solar power subsidy?
Sorry?
WTO ruling on solar power subsidy. Will government appeal against this?
I'll go through the judgment which has come from WTO and then we'll talk about it.
Is this made in China?
One minute. I'll answer.
What about the GVK bio case, which is after which we deferred our talks with Europe? Are we planning to go back to European agencies with a proposal that those drugs are finally, they were tested, and or are we going to...
The answers are due from them. Since last year, when this came out, several official level delegations have gone to Europe and provided every explanation, every document that had to be provided. Post that, some of the discussions that we've held have also been opportunities for us to raise these issues. I've said this before, I've raised it at my level. Prime Minister during his visit to France had also raised it. And when I met my counterpart, the EU trade representative, Cecilia Malmström, I did ask her about it. However, she said she's not the person concerned, but she will pass it on to whoever is responsible for it. So several attempts from Government of India's side, official side, the political side, have sought explanation and answers. We've not been given one.
Ma'am, there is a made in China, which is very popular, and China is now facing crisis. Can that make in China can be turned into make in India?
Well, make in India is anyway happening.
So until जब तक ये जवाब नहीं दे देते EU वाले, तब तक India EU talk some.
Commerce Minister there fielding a lot of questions, talking about trade ties between various countries, particularly the situation right now in China and how India can be a key beneficiary. But the market is demanding attention. I just want Ashwini to complete his answer on the Bank Nifty. Ashwini, while you've given your thesis on this recovery that we're seeing in the Bank Nifty, you were talking about levels there to watch out for.
I was saying that 16,300 is a fairly key zone because that is where the correction, the 50% correction of the entire move from 15,800 to 16,800 ended. So as long as 16,300 holds on, I think people can still maintain long positions and even take fresh long positions, because today's action clearly shows that probably fresh shorts are now trapped at lower levels.
Look at that chart, Tanvi. It's just about 17 points adrift of breaking into the green. That's a remarkable recovery. 34 points, sorry, but 0.2%. It's banks which are now really leading the charge on the Nifty.
Oh yes, indeed. I still see, however, Tata Power being the key gainer, followed by Tata Motors, BPCL. But you may be right in the way some of these select index banks are coming back. And ICICI Bank is picked up. IndusInd Bank has gone in higher. Kotak Bank is also, pulling back into the green. So yes, indeed, the recovery is being led by banks. The recovery is also being led by oil and gas and some of the utilities, as well as the cyclical business. Mayuresh, just come in on that. The cyclical side of the market, we saw it active yesterday. We are seeing it active today. Do you kind of center focus on that pocket, and do you look at opportunities there? And if so, which are your names high on the list conviction-wise?
So clearly, I think the cyclicality will continue into the markets, but again, our thesis still remains very much on the same parameters. So I think private sector banks is something that we continue to like. Our own take is that a lot of these banks have shown resilience in terms of asset quality. And we are talking about credit growth generally for the system being subdued. I think you're talking about credit growth actually picking up. And again, if RBI moves on interest rates with the kind of capital adequacy that these guys have, their branch network, I think the return ratios can be quite stupendous. So for example, Axis Bank, we've assumed credit costs in excess of 80 pips for the better part of this year. And again, the counter-cyclical provisions that they and IAS Bank both are doing. ICICI Bank with a 25% growth in its retail advances, and again, asset quality stabilizing. I think that's good picks that we like probably from the private banking space at this point of time, Tanvi.
Okay, What's a call right now with, I know we've discussed this at length, but because the entertainment has been standing out, the entertainment, of course, over the last 7 sessions has done fairly well for itself despite this volatility. But my producer's asking me to highlight the Bank Nifty, as that's the first index which has come into the green. And I'm sure in a short while, as we count down to trade, the index in Nifty, that is perched at 7,800. So strong pullback, one would have to say, and I think a chunk of it really came in the last 15 minutes. Yes Bank, which has been a key mover all of this week, has also sprung into the green. So that's actually the highlight of the session. That's a talking point.
You bet. I was just trying to find out which are the stocks that are jumping up in the last 30 minutes of trade, a bunch of them. So bring up the intradays of some of these. Gitanjali Gems has shot up almost 5% from the levels that it was at. DLF is up 3.5-4% from the levels that it was at. Godrej Consumer, United Breweries, there's a Federal Mogul, Indian Hotels, PFC REC2, I believe SKS Microfinance is another one which is also shot up in trade. Delta Corp is another one which has moved up in trade. So these are a bunch of names. Even a Ken India from the levels that it was trading at is actually moved up and is now at 152. So a bunch of names and predominantly financial names, SKS Micro, LIC Housing Finance, PFC, IFCI. These are the ones that have really gone up in the last few minutes. And of course, needless to say, if the Bank Nifty is in the green, a bunch of private and PSU banks too would have shot up in the last few minutes of trade. So that's looking very, very robust. Let's get in Darshan and Yatin, who join in right now to tell us what our dealing room is talking about as we're seeing a really smart recovery. Darshan, are people, or when you spoke to them 5-10 minutes ago, were people talking about this recovery?
See, nothing much, it's saying it could be a short covering rally that could come in, but nothing much happening individually on the Nifty. They don't have a very macro view. They are still being very, very stock specific. And today, if you're looking at it, pharma, especially the mid-cap pharma and tire stocks are doing well. So in terms of which are the stocks they're talking about, Wockhardt is the first stock that they're talking about. It's one of the biggest F&O gainers in trade today. It's up almost 8%. Dealers indicate that there could be a corporate announcement regarding one of their plants very, very soon. No other clarity or confirmation from our side. And we also hear that one of the largest domestic funds has been actively accumulating the counter. Today, the volumes have also been good. Over 30 lakh shares have been is the total volume in trade in trade up to now. So there is accumulation happening. The other one is Apollo Hospitals, in which dealers indicate that domestic funds are accumulating. And the third counter is MRF. The entire tire space is doing well. Dealers indicate that HNIs are accumulating at lower levels. You can see how CEAT has moved, Apollo Tires has moved, and they believe that even MRF will play catch up.
Thanks, Darshan, for that. Yatin, come to you. What is it that you're hearing from your sources?
Probably, Darshan was in Chennai and possibly somebody recommended him Madras Rubber Factory.
Well, you were also in Chennai. Yeah, then what were you recommending?
So again, one tire stocks and, CEAT is something which is quite active in trade, huge open interest build up on the long side. And if you look at the F&O data, clearly suggesting that a lot of build up has happened in trade today. So purely on the basis of F&O trends, CEAT is something that dealers are recommending. And as Darshan was pointing out, tire stocks are quite active in trade today. Apart from that, Glenmark, that stock continues to remain weak and post the MSCI balancing, we have seen the stock correct from the recent highs it made. And clearly the market is concerned about the Latin American exposure that the company has. There are problems in terms of the economics there and more to do with the currency exposure that they have on receivables. So clearly Glenmark is something that dealers are expecting could remain weak in the coming sessions as well. And another stock in the mid-cap pharma space, Anu Pharma, is something that dealers are indicating that HNIs have been aggressive buyers in trade post the recent correction. And this is one pharma mid-cap stocks which possibly could give a 20-25% kind of a return in the short term. So Anu Pharma is something that dealers are talking about as a buy.
Okay, those are what dealers are recommending in the dying minutes of the session. Thanks, Yatin and Darshan, to give us that quick snapshot. I just want to quickly get in closing strategies from both Ashwini and Sandeep. Ashwini, what is it that you would recommend? 10 minutes left to trade.
Well, iShares is doing extremely well, and it was a call, I think, even yesterday. So this is a buy with a stop of 18,300. Look for targets of 19,000.
Sandeep, what about you?
Tanvir, I would go with a BTST or a buy in a CEAT, though a little high. I think it will scale 1250, 1260. Maybe not in the first hour of the morning, but over a couple of days. And with a stop loss of 1180, target of 1250.
Yeah, there's a big discount. The cash versus the futures price of CEAT, the September futures. Maybe it's just dissipated a bit. I don't know. We'll get the futures price of CEAT up as well, the September futures. The cash spot is at 1212. Futures are at 1201. So from a 30-point discount, it's narrowed to about 10 odd points. Just keep that in mind if you are a trader. Maybe a bit of that arbitrage might have played out. It's a very small percentage. I don't know how many people would even play for that. But yeah, nevertheless, it was, and now it's just dissipated completely. Mahresh, what would you do with tire names? I was asking this question to one of our guests in the morning as well. This whole lower commodity prices benefiting some of the companies, be it battery makers, be it tires, etc., is now a known story. It's played out for 3 or 4 quarters already. But that doesn't mean that it's gone away. That doesn't mean that the lower commodity prices will not benefit these companies and the margins will not stay up. Considering that commodity prices don't seem like going up in a hurry, are these battery makers or tire makers still in a sweet spot? Would you still go out and buy any company? And if so, which one and why?
So clearly, Neeraj, I think we were structurally very positive. We still remain very positive on the tire stock, CEAT, JK Tires. I think CEAT has moved substantially and it's very close to our target price. However, I think the dynamics, as you rightly mentioned, I think raw material prices coming down, both in terms of crude oil derivatives and RSS4, which is a key ingredient for tire makers. I think that is going to affect margins. But clearly, I think the structural story goes beyond this. The kind of timely capex that a lot of these guys have done, specifically in the case of JK Tires, they've expanded the radial capacity from 1.5 to 2.3, the PV capacity from 8 million tons to 10 million tons. That is going to augur well, because once the volumes start picking up, and yes, I think there is an imminent threat, as a lot of managements have pointed out, with sluggish top line growth, the threat of Chinese imports, you're clearly looking at industry dynamics, probably looking at giving in more towards the return on equity from the management perspective. So clearly, I think the structural story for a lot of these tire companies, in our opinion, at least over the next 2 to 3 quarters, remains intact. JK Tires is something that we continue to prefer. When it comes to the battery makers, I think they're very, very close to their near-term valuations. So clearly, when you talk about Amara Raja or Exide, which is relatively cheaper, but again, it's got its own sweet issues related to the kind of capex it's doing, ceding of market share to Amara, and clearly, I think cash flows would still be a big issue for Exide at this point of time. Amara, more or less, I think, has gained market share with Exide's losses, but clearly, I think the inverter segment, the telecom segment, which contributes almost 20% to its revenues, I think, right, and foray of Exide into that, it might have some amount of respite on that front as well.
Okay, Wockhardt, and out of their annual report, agencies are quoting that they've expanded their quality team by 40%. They're talking primarily about, the kind of quality controls they're imposing right now. Also, product expansion, hope to resolve the US FDA issue confidently and to achieve full compliance. I think that will come as something that the markets would cheer, which is why the stock is up 8%. You want to add to that?
No, just this. I mean, just that very vital point that they're hoping to achieve full compliance soon. So that is when it happens. But right now, Wockhardt, of course, for the day-to-day has had a really good run, and which actually is my next question to our technical experts before we start winding up trade. Ashwini Gujral, what to do with the Wockhardt? Maybe give me an update on iShare. I think you recommended an iShare, if I'm not wrong, and it's moved up further.
See, Wockhardt has made a very, very large move. You remember when it was falling, it fell one day 20%. So it's that kind of a stock. But definitely it appears it's bottomed out. And chances are at some point we'll see levels closer to 1500. iShare you can continue to hold. I think this move of the market is really spectacular. And this kind of confirms that there is some sort of strong support in this 75, 7700 type of zone. And anybody who's in should now continue to hold on. And today's low gives you a better stop of about 7680, 7700. So that way, two things have been achieved. A, post a gap down, buying has come back. And B, you now have a higher stop loss than 7550.
What about DLF and SKS Micro, two rate sensitives which are trading at the high point of the day, Ashwini?
See, DLF and property stocks in general, they participate in any market rally. But I think SKS Micro has reached fairly key supports of about 430 odd, and from there it's bouncing. So I think again it's a buy with a stop say around 425, 430, and look for a retracement back towards 530, 540.
Okay, and we'll just get those flashes out for you as well in the ratings. By the way, the index is cheering this. It's now in the green. The Nifty 7815, just about getting into the green. We were talking about SKS Micro, remember, in just moments from now. But that is the big move on the Nifty. Okay, we just have 3 minutes, so we probably have a minute for this very important news. It comes as a big shot in arm for the domestic steel industry. The government will soon take a final call on the 20% safeguard duty recommended. Ruchi has more details. Ruchi, about 60 seconds. Fill us in on the details.
What we're given to understand is that a day after the DT safeguard has recommended imposing a 20% duty on steel products, what we're given to understand by our sources is that there is an important meeting that is happening between Commerce Ministry, Steel Ministry and Finance Ministry officials that is going to happen this Saturday, which is September 12th, on the safeguard duty. What we're given to understand is that only after what they recommend, a final call will be taken on imposing a safeguard duty on steel imports. What we're given to understand is the WTO rules permit a safeguard duty if domestic industry is hurt due to a sudden spurt in imports. And this is, of course, after the safeguard duty on steel products has been recommended by DG Safeguard. And this, of course, is applicable for 200 days till a final decision is taken this Saturday. And once it gets notified by the government, this is going to, of course, come in as a huge shot in the arm for Steel Ministry. What Finance Ministry is of the view is that the steel industry at this point of time is one of the sectors which needs some bit of a support, and which is why the government is all in favor of imposing a duty.
Yeah, this is an important one, and let's see whether the government actually confirms this. Thanks very much for bringing us that 89 exclusive. Winding down to trade, and we are looking at the markets. The Nifty perched at 7,800, which is encouraging. I think that just the magnitude of the recovery is fairly impressive. We've come off, gained almost 130 odd points for the index from the lows of the session, so that's very encouraging. I don't know how trade will pan out tomorrow. That'll depend on cues from Wall Street, but this looks fairly heartening given the way the broader indices have also come back into the green. The mid-cap index is 0.5% higher. Small cap index pretty much the same story. And the bank Nifty needs to be given credit for this sort of a recovery coming in, because the bank Nifty is also about 0.5% in the green at close. So very encouraging close for the market, primarily because we have come a good 120 points off the day's lows to close in the green for the Nifty. The gainers first, Tata Power up 3%. You have Tata Motors, which is up 2.5% in the session. BPCL has done well for itself in trade. It's really the cyclicals basket aside of banks which have performed. So BHEL, BPCL, those are the names that have done well. Z Entertainment as well. You have some of the autos. So Bajaj Autos pitched in. That's about 1.5% gain coming in onto that one. And some of the banks, like I said, ICICI Bank, IndusInd Bank, Kotak Bank. These are some of the banks which have been steady performers in the session. To the losing side of the market, the weakness continues with the IT basket. HCL Tech down 3%, Wipro, Infosys, TCS. Consumer names, HUL, Pharma have not really been mainstay. It would have been heartening to see how some of the index heavyweights also helped the market pull back. That hasn't quite happened. It's largely the cyclicals, commodities, as well as the banks which have pulled the market higher. The core names in IT, pharma, consumer were laggards today.
Yeah, so many stocks doing so well. It's just that it was not related only to banks. I mean, look at a Godrej Consumer, for example. That one has nudged up almost 4 or 5 percentage points in the last 30 minutes of trade. Just goes to show it was not just pharma, it was not just real estate. Look at those names. There is a bounce back that has come in a bunch of other defensive names as well. But yeah, I mean, suffice to say that the list includes a lot of high beta names in the session today. So quickly, just 3 or 4 or maybe 5 or 6 names. There is strength in the entire pharma pack. So Wockhardt, Unichem, Fortis, Apollo, that entire clutch of names, Divi's Lab, all of them do extremely well in the session today. Wockhardt is a star to my mind, 9% higher consensus buy across all our experts. So do watch out, but the other pharma names haven't done too badly. Then you had some engineering and cement related stocks. So J Kumar Infra, ILFS Engineering, Shree Cement, some energy names, JSW Energy, Swan Energy, etc. doing not too bad. Arcom is in a mood of its own the last few days after the mammoth rally yesterday, up another 5% today. In news for both the days, Telecom is the sector of the week and Arcom is the stock of the last couple of sessions. Okay, having discussed all the gainers, were there disappointments? Yes, a couple of them. Sun TV had a bad day today, 7.5% off. I think UPL and maybe a few others, partly due to the fact that maybe they have Brazilian exposure. But yeah, these stocks did come off a little bit in the session today. So not the best of days for them. And Amtech and Castex, the two stocks marred because of this news of the SEBI inquiry on them, are down. Amtech was down 8% at a point of time, but Castex continues to be lower. And then, of course, a few others as well. Info Edge has a slightly soft day. Bharti Airtel a slightly soft day. But it's a day of recovery. That is the most important thing. It's a day of recovery when the markets at large have done exceptionally well. I think all the key indices, the last tick was in the green. Post-adjustment, maybe they've come off, yes. The last tick for most of the indices was in the green, including the small caps and the mid caps as well. In fact, the CNX mid cap index ends the day in the green. And it's a remarkable comeback. That chart says it all. So, extremely good day of trade. Let's see what's in store tomorrow. Just want to bring up the European indices once for our viewers, for people who are just logging out and trying to figure out whether this could sustain or no. Europe is ho-hum. Of course, there's no indication. Yesterday all was looking good and we started off lower today. Maybe today could be a different day, but no big negative cues coming in from Europe either. I think the Dow futures too should be okay, broadly in line with what we did yesterday. So maybe, just maybe, we'll have an okay morning tomorrow. Let's see. Too difficult to call it these days. But let's get in final thoughts from all our experts. And Mayuresh, before we thank you, we've discussed a bunch of things that is mid caps that you would be buying. If you were to be betting on a large cap name right now, one name, which would that be? Would you go in for a safe stock? Would you go in for a beaten down Tata Motors variety? Or would it essentially be a value play that you would go out and buy?
So more or less, I think when it comes down to valuations from the large cap, Power Grid is something that I'm really liking at this point of time. The kind of reforms that the government has set out, the kind of capital outlay that Power Grid has got, both in terms of CWIP and the expected capex over the next couple of years, which would exceed 1 lakh crore by FY17, the kind of transmission sums that have got committed for the 12th and 13th plan, the kind of expected capacities to come through over the next 2 years, and to top it up, I think the regulated returns that this company enjoys at 15.5%. I think it's a very stable regulated model, and again valuations looking extremely attractive at this point of time at 1.3 times price to book. So again, I think I'm very, very optimistic on Power Grid. We've got a target of 170 over the next 12 to 15 months.
Okay, Mayuresh, we'll let you go with that. Thanks very much for joining us and giving us that quick perspective. I appreciate your investment ideas too. Let's get in technical closing thoughts as well. And Ashwini, come to you first. How do you expect trade to pan out tomorrow, given that we closed in pullback mode today?